Hi everyone, this is Clint from Persuasive Evangelism, and today we're going to go over this book by C.S. Lewis, The Magician's Nephew. It's the sixth book in the Narnia series, Chronicles of Narnia, in publication order, which is the way I've been reviewing them. It's actually in chronological order, the first book, because it takes place at the very beginning of Narnia, shows how Narnia was created. So, and also in the time on Earth, it's about a generation before the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The kids in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe that went to that house where the wardrobe was at, there was an old man there, and this is his story when he was a kid. So I think it takes place in the late 1800s. He has an uncle, Andrew, who is kind of works in the dark arts, a magician, and he creates these rings that can teleport to different dimensions. So Diggory and Polly get the rings, and they teleport to this place called the Woods in Between the Worlds, which I always thought was very interesting as a kid. It's basically a wooded area with these little ponds in between the trees, and each pond, if you jump into it, leads to a different world. And so I always was wondering where all the other ponds lead to, because they jump into a pond that goes to this place called Charn. It's this old world that's it's an old city of stone buildings that have crumbled, and it looks like it's been like a dead world for hundreds of years. And that's where they find the White Witch. She's not called the White Witch yet, but you find out her name's, I think, Empress Jadis. And you find out, and Diggory wakes her up by knocking on this bell, and it wakes her up, and you find out she destroyed the world. She was the queen, and her sister was trying to battle her and their armies and everything. And then the Queen Empress said that, I guess, a magical word called the deplorable word, which destroyed everyone except for herself on the planet. So she wiped out the entire planet and then went into a deep sleep. So Diggory and Polly try to escape by putting on the rings, but the White Witch grabs them and goes with them back to the world in between trees, or the woods in between the world, and they end up back on Earth. She grabs a light post and starts attacking people, and she wants to take over that world. And then they go back to, she follows them back into the woods in between the worlds, and then they go into another pond hoping to take her back to Charn. That's the name of her place. But they go to a place of darkness, and there's no world there yet, and they start hearing this song, and see a lion singing the song, and through that song, the lion, who's Aslan, the Jesus figure in the Chronicles of Narnia, they will witness the creation of Narnia. The stars appear, the land appears, the animals appear, and so on. And kind of like C.S. Lewis does it by Aslan singing. At the beginning of the Bible, God speaks, like, let there be light, and so on. So that there's a lot of symbolism between the creation in Genesis and the creation of Narnia. And the White Witch is there, and she throws the lamppost at Aslan, but it just bounces off him, and he doesn't even notice it. Like, she has no power over him. And that he creates in Narnia, some of the animals speak. So you see how he creates the animals to speak. And Andrew, who's a magician too, doesn't like it and doesn't believe it. And he says, even though he's witnessing the creation of Narnia, he's getting a hard heart and just pretending that he doesn't see, the truth of it, and says, oh, they're not speaking, it's just noises. And pretty soon he believes that the animals, when they're speaking, they're just making animal noises and aren't actually speaking. So there's this one section I wanted to bring up in the book about basically hardening of your heart for Christ. But basically he says, Uncle Andrew, he says, Uncle Andrew, now the trouble about trying to make yourself stupider than you really are is that you often, very often succeed. Uncle Andrew he soon did hear nothing but roaring in Aslan's song. Soon he couldn't have heard anything else even if he wanted to. And when last the lion spoke and said, Narnia, awake, he didn't hear any words. He heard only a snarl. And when the beast spoke in answer, he heard only barking, growling, baying, and howling. So he basically hardened his heart and just kind of goes into shock and doesn't believe what he's seeing. Polly later comes up to Aslan and asks if there's anything you can do to help Uncle Andrew. And Aslan, who's the Christ, symbolizes Christ in the Narnia series, says, he thinks great folly, child, said Aslan. The world is bursting with life for these few days because the song which I called it into life still hangs in the air and rumbles in the ground. It will not be so for long, but I cannot tell that to this old sinner, about Uncle Andrew, and I cannot comfort him either. He has made himself unable to hear my voice. If I spoke to him, he would hear only growling and roarings. Oh, Adam's sons, how cleverly you defend yourself against all that might do you good. But I will give him the only gift he is still able to receive. Sleep, he said. Sleep and be separated for some few hours from all the torments you have devised for yourself. Uncle Andrew immediately rolled over and closed his eyes and began breathing peacefully. So kind of with Christ, if you harden your heart, the message is just nonsense, or you don't even hear it anymore. So I thought that was interesting. There's also a section in here after Narnia is created. Aslan puts Diggory on a mission to get this. Now that the White Witch is there, she runs off and and Aslan says, the world is only a few hours old and there's already an evil in the world. But he says he will take care of, he will take the brunt of it. But for now he wants, the world to be at peace. So he tells Diggory to go get this apple in the Wild West area. It's a mountainous region, but don't eat it. So he goes to get that. And it's kind of like the, kind of about Adam and Eve, about not eating the apple in the garden. But when he gets there, the White Witch is there eating it because it's promised you'll have eternal life. And as she's eating the apple, her skin turns really pale and white and more powerful. And she tries to tempt him to eat the apple, but he says no and brings it back. And Aslan, the apple is planted and this great tree grows up. So the White Witch won't go to Narnia until the tree is destroyed, but she won't come near it. The tree will last several centuries. So I thought that was interesting. And then Diggory tells Aslan that the White Witch ate the apple, and he says, let me see. Oh yeah, so alas, said Aslan, shaking his head. It will, basically giving her, she'll live forever. Things always work according to their nature. She has won her heart's desire. She has unwearying strength and endless days like a goddess. But lengths of days with an evil heart is only length of misery, and already she begins to know it. And get what they want, they do not always like it. Or they go, all get what they want, they do not always like it. So she has an evil heart, and she's going to live for centuries with that evil heart. So I thought that was interesting. But this book is always one of my favorites in the Narnia series. Almost all the books are, but I always like this one just because it jumps in between these worlds. And I always wondered what's in these. Here's the woods in between the worlds, and here's some of the ponds, and that's the White Witch. As they escaped Charn, she followed them out of the pond. But I always wondered what's in these other ponds. But anyways, that's all I had today. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye, and God bless. Oh, and I'm at Willow Grove, and that's the Columbia River. I'm on the Washington State side, and over there is Oregon, right near Longview. All right, take care, everyone. God bless.